All right, now I want to find out about the digits or the numbers that are in this, if there are any, which there are. And so I'm going to define a Boolean variable that will either be true or false, and then if the character is a digit, it will be printed out, well, we will print out that there is one and where it is. We're not going to print the actual value of the digit, but we'll do that in a second. All right, so again, we've got our basic for loop. We're going to get the character at I, and now here's what we're adding. We're going to say digit, which is our Boolean variable, equals character is digit C. So this basically says if the character that we just got is a digit, this will be set to true. And then it says if this is true, print out character at I is a digit. And then this will be either true or false. So when we ran that, I can get this to scoot down just a little bit. So the first number that I get, it says character at 82 is a digit, true. I then come along and we find out that 82, 83, 100 and 101. So that we found 4 digits in this. And if you look at the text, he says, all right, we have 1, 8, and 7 and 5. So those were our 4 digits and we found them. All right. Let's see. This section we're going to use a while loop for the number of times the letter E shows up. So this should look familiar. We have our counter for this one is J. So we're going to use a while loop with J as a counter, starting at 0. We're going to have a count to accumulate the number of E's. So while J is less than length, we're going to get the character at the jth position. If the character is an E, we will increase the count, and then we will increase our counter. So you will notice that we've got the int j equals 0. So if this was a for loop, int j equals 0, j is less than length, j++. So that the while loop, this kind of while loop is going to be exactly the same as a for loop. It's going to have the same information. And we will effectively know how many times we're going through it. And if you'll pardon me while I scroll up here. Here we had a while loop that said keep reading lines in until you come to a blank line. So if I don't know how long the text is, this is much more appropriate because you will go until some condition is met. And this while loop, here we go, this while loop is going to perform much the same way a for loop did, but it just gives you another example of a while loop. All right, and then a second way to look for a space. We're going to use a string method. So I'm going to define a string variable called space, and it's going to be equal to double quote blank double quote. All right, so the double quotes make it a string, the single quotes make it a character. And so I'm going to say int k is str.index of space. So this says in the string, which is the listen my children and you shall hear, all of that, in that string, this is asking for what is the first time I find a space. And so I print out the first space is at, and the number of spaces, we got that, and now here we go. The first space is at position 6, So the L is 0, so that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the first space is at position 6. Absolutely it is. All right. Now, I'm going to declare an integer variable, an int variable called space count. It's going to be at 1 because I already found that first one. And now I'm going to use a for loop, and I'm going to say for I equals k. So the first time, my first value of I is going to be, where are we? 6, I believe. Yeah. So this is going to be start at 6 actually. And then k is going to be less than length, and I'm going to increment I. All right. So this actually should be, well. All right, so k is now equal to str index of space starting at k plus 1. All right, so we got k is 6. So now we're going to look for the next index of a space, and we'll start at 7. That value will go into k. We're going to ask if k is equal to negative 1. If it does, break. This happens when I get to the end of the text. So scrolling back up to our text. Once I've come down and I've found this space, when I start at Y and look for a space, it's going to say there isn't a space, and the way it indicates that is by returning a negative 1. And if it returns a negative 1, the break says get out of the loop. If it was not equal to negative 1, I will increment space count and go back up. K, the value that was found here, will go in and we'll add 1 to it and look and continue along, and then we will get space count. Now I'm doing this because I can, as opposed to space, I can put any word in here I want to. I could put is and find out how many times does the word is fall in this. And it looks like it's only going to be once because we don't have much text. You will use this kind of a method, and the file that contains the entire contents of Alice in Wonderland, and find out how many times does Alice's name show up, or how many times do we have the Red Queen, or something of that nature. All right, and then we printed that out. So there you go.